Back live tonight, Sharon in Focus, and thanks for staying with us. The State Information Technology Agency says infrastructure damage may have contributed to today's outage on key government websites. Parliament and South African Police Service are among those affected by the gremlin. The agency has also blamed what it calls acts of vandalism and theft in the vicinity of Tembisa on the East Rand. Joining us now to explain this further, Tlali Tlali, who speaks for the State Information Technology Agency. Good evening, good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. It's been a busy day for you, especially the last couple of hours. So, explain to us what actually happened. Somebody came in, stole a cable. What actually happened? What caused this breakdown?
Good evening, Mr. Mduli, and thank you for the opportunity. We are pleased to announce that the service interruptions that were encountered today, affecting a number of government departments that are hosted on the .gov.za domain, are now up and running. One of the reasons for this disruption that occurred earlier today was due to acts of vandalism and theft that took place in the vicinity of Tembisa. So I think it calls on all of us as South Africans to have vigilance, to guard jealously so, insofar as our infrastructure is concerned. Naturally, we should have the curiosity as to why people who ordinarily should not be interfering with certain types of infrastructure are doing exactly that. Yeah. Because we have an incident here where a group of people simply opened what we refer to as the manhole, and they set out fire in there to burn the cable so that they are able to separate copper from the rest of the material that formed part of the infrastructure there. That's why we had a situation where our cables that form part of our fiber network got destroyed in the process.
Do you think these were opportunistic acts, or these were targeted acts of people who knew that this is the nerve, literally, of government infrastructure, and if we were to disrupt here or sabotage here, the impact would be so huge?
The temptation is there, especially when you consider the period or the timing. It is on the eve of the State of the Nation address, and we have a situation where a number of key state institutions and installations are affected. Yeah. And you would appreciate that communication is critical for day-to-day functioning and running of government, to communicate information to people who may be job applicants, to communicate information insofar as processing invoice for payments that will impact on small and medium enterprises. All of those things were impacted today. But it is interesting for us to find out what the motives are. That is not known at this stage. We, however, have suspicions that are not supported at this stage by any tangible evidence that indicates that the intentions were meant to embarrass or to frustrate government.
Yeah. What's the cause of the damage?
The damage is it affected about 4 provinces insofar as its impact is concerned, including some of our key national departments that include the South African Police Service, National Treasury, the Department of Communications and Digital Technologies, and a number of other institutions, including the very government website, sure, has been affected by that. So Sita dispatched its team, supported by the service provider, in order to replace the affected infrastructure. We are not at this stage able to quantify in the form of rands and cents as to what the damage is. All we know is that the interruptions were there, and this is quite unfortunate. We sincerely apologize to our clients, a number of government departments that were affected by this, as well as members of the public who go to these departments for service provisioning.
So are the services fully back now, or are they partially back?
The services are fully back. I received a report that indicated that the services are fully back. We operate on the basis in this industry, on this sector, of what we refer to as redundancy, which refers to a situation where if you are having a primary link that provides internet connectivity, in the event an incident occurs on that one, then you are able to switch over to the other one that is referred to a failover link. Okay. And we had a situation where these were affected, but we are pleased to indicate that we have been able to restore these, and then the services are up and running. the work is currently underway to ensure that we are able now to bring on board the support, which could be, in simple terms, what people would refer to as your spare wheel link in the event something happens.
It's a backup, it's a backup.
Yes.
So talk to me about what reinforcement are you bringing now that you have seen such infrastructure could possibly be vulnerable?
I think what it calls for partnership at various levels. Partnerships with state institutions at the level of law enforcement agencies, but partnerships at the same time, the point that I made earlier on, with members of the community to be vigilant. We usually talk about street committees that must ensure that they are the ears and the eyes of law enforcement. Where certain things go wrong, they are able to activate or to call on law enforcement to come to the scene in order to respond to situations. That is the one part. The second part has to do with the investment that we are making in order to ensure that in the event situations of this nature occur, we have maybe multiple links that ensure that we have a failover moving from one link to another. That is a big ticket item from a budgeting point of view, but it is something that we are working towards so that in future we are able to withstand situations of this nature.
Yeah. What is the unintended fallout of this situation? Are there backlogs that would need to be now addressed? Are there particular services that need to be extended in order to cover for the time that has been lost? What is the fault?
I think it is a matter that an area that will be best responded to by our client departments, which are government institutions, because we are the back-end office, if you like, that enables government from a technology point of view to be able to run. So they are best placed to know that if there were situations where there were deadlines that had to be met one way or the other, then they are able to come up with plans to accommodate those kinds of disruptions that have occurred. Hence, we also saw it necessary to also extend our apology to members of the community who may have been impacted by this senseless acts of theft and vandalism.
Quick one. State of the Nation address, all systems go. It's not going to be affected by this.
Tomorrow is the State of the Nation address. We hope there will not be any incident. We hope that members of the community are going to continue to exercise vigilance. They are going to call on law enforcement to respond to situations of this nature. Because in this instance, we are not dealing with the technical failures that can be appropriated to the state institution like Sita to say that they have failed to keep systems in place. It is just an act of vandalism by some people who are pursuing their narrow personal selfish interests.
Tlali Tlali, appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming on. That is State Information Technology Agency spokesperson, Tlali Tlali.